Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, children. How nice of you to come visit us. We have been expecting you.
Who's Jaime? Who's Jaime? He's just a kangaroo. Just a 6-foot kangaroo. All right, we are back. Are you ready, Mrs. Humpitude?
Sure, I guess, since you put it that way.
All right. We are ready to go. If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Put red. I am psyched tonight. I am psyched. We're back, the Funky WerePig. If you missed the first hour of the show, you missed a doozy. Colonel Sanders rose from the dead and fixed us some chicken. It was damn good. But in the second hour, gets even better. I kid you not. Tonight, we have the man known as Kevin Lucia. Say it with me, folks. If you're in the party pen tonight, if you're just listening at home, you're just hanging out, say it with me. It's fun. It rolls right off the tongue. Lucia.
I say Lucia.
You do.
Yeah.
Kevin Lucia. There's a whole lot of different ways to say it, but I understand the proper pronunciation is Lucia.
Lucia, yes.
That's it?
That's it.
So why do you spell it L-O-O-S-H-A?
There you go.
It's time you meet us halfway. Let's get hooked on phonics together.
I'm sure that won't make my children targets on the playground at all with an 8 last name.
Kevin, are you ready for a Wang-Doodle night?
I absolutely am. Yes, sir.
I'm very happy to have you on the show. We've had you kind of skitter around the outskirts. You've taunted us.
Yeah.
You know, you've kind of dipped in once or twice, and a lot of people don't know this. We're going to reveal it tonight. You are actually one of the masterminds of the contest we've been running all summer long. Tim Deal will kill Andrew Walter if I don't do what he says. You're actually one of the main kuhas behind that. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. Maybe even tonight we'll be able to free Andrew Walter. Maybe we'll free him from bondage, and which is good because he's in a real busy mood tonight. Oh, he's in a busy mood. Wait till we click him in. It's going to be like, oh, wow. So we got to get Jason Keene back because these sound effects are really sucking up the. Oh my God. Pew pew.
That be rough. Pew pew pew.
Yeah. So. But we've got a lot to discuss. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Kevin Lucia on the show. This dude is probably in every damn anthology you've picked up in the past year or so. And he's got some things coming out around the corner. But we've got some other things we got to clear out of the way, some bitness. Bitness we got to handle. Of course, as usual, we got to mention that all month long, we're so excited about this, man. This is quite an accomplishment for us because we didn't even think it would work. And that is the fact that August is Choate Road's 1-year anniversary.
Woohoo!
Huzzah! I mean, the fact that we actually made it a year, I can't believe. But yeah, our little Choate Road's grown up so fast. It's been 1 year. We started in August of last year, hence the anniversary. And we've just really kicked some buttocks, had a lot of fun, accomplished a lot, I think, in the past year. Jesse, you were kind of awake for some of it.
I was awake for the first part, And
good. Then you tagged out. You tagged out. Then you tagged back in. It's kind of like WrestleMania. Got to get you up on top of the damn, what do they call that thing? The post or whatever? Could you picture Jesse doing a Jimmy Snuka, Superfly Snuka thing kind of jumping on somebody? I hope I said that right. Is Jimmy Superfly Snuka? I think that's. You know who we need? We need that damn Dale from Graveside Tales. He would know. Dale Murphy. He's a wrestling dude, so he would know. But no, we were pretty excited about the Choate Road thing. We've got a lot of cool things planned out for the rest of this month. We've got our Spotlight Scribe was really cool for this month. We have a very special and original story from David Dunwoody, or as those who know him best call him, the Dunwoody. So the Dunwoody is up in the Spotlight Scribe. We've got our running serial, To Be a Monster. That's the one where all the little Choate Road writers all got together. We're going to write a serial, but we're going to do it that round robin kind of thing. If you haven't tried it, try it at home, boys and girls. It's really kind of fun. One person writes a chapter, passes it off. I knocked out the first one. Zombie Zach crushed with the second chapter that's currently up. And who do we have coming up next, Jez? Who writes the third chapter? Oh, yeah, I think so. So hopefully you get to chat into that and see it's in our little campfire page. And we've got all the normal fun stuff. We got little trivia. We got some spooky videos. We got stuff in the vault. We've got ads. We got reviews. We got all. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm really happy. We actually even put up our very first Splatterpunk ever. We run that advice column, Ask a Splatterpunk, and it's helped billions of people's lives have been changed because of Splatterpunk's help. And we thought it'd be nostalgic to put up the very first Ask a Splatterpunk ever. So that's on there. So many things that are up on the choateroad.com. That's CHOATE.com. And there, I have just broken the record again. That was what, within 3 minutes, Jez? 4 minutes?
I have 6 minutes.
Well, I finished, but when did I start?
Well, true. Okay.
I started at 3 minutes. Within 3 minutes, I did a whore. It's going to be a whoring evening. I kind of get that feeling. I mean, the pants are off. They're around the ankles. I didn't take them all the way off. I just want to feel them around my ankles. I'm not moving around that much, so I'm just going to sit in the chair. So they're just kind of hanging around the ankles, and I just want a whoring night. Just a night of whoring. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, whoring is something that's very special to us here at the WerePig. It's where you get to promote and push your goods. Let people know your product. Get out there and whore. And I have a feeling by the end of the night there's going to be a ton of Lucia whore. That's a fun one. Try to say that at home. Say it at home. If you're sitting there right now, I don't care if you're in the middle of the dinner with kids. I don't care if Grandma's sitting in the other room watching Madlock. Just belt it out. Lucia whore. I like that one. I'm going to get a T-shirt made of that. So we got a lot rocking and rolling. We got some people already calling in. We got a deviant over here. Let's click in one of our favorite deviants, man near and dear to our hearts. Hello, sir. 952 tells me we've got Mr. Feast himself.
You know, I resemble that remark.
What are you doing, crawling out of a bag of Cheetos? What the hell was that?
It sounded like he licked his phone.
What?
R. Scott McCoy, what are you doing to our show?
I have no idea. What did I do?
I introduce you, and it sounds like you're freaking unwrapping Twinkies. What are you doing?
That wasn't me. That must have been somebody else. I have no Twinkies in sight.
Lucia?
It wasn't me.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Welcome to the show, R. Scott McCoy, author of the upcoming book, Feast.
Hey, thanks. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Love the
show. What can you fill us in on tonight? What's happening with you?
Well, hey, I'm just wrapping up our submission period from July. Over about 400 submissions. So that taken care of. That was nice. Of course, Daniel and John, new members of the staff, helping with that. That's for NT. Got the novel coming out shortly, going to Context, of course.
Yay.
Think about anything but context. Toss and turn tonight, dreaming of context.
It's going to be, we've got a lot of mucho context coming up in the next couple of weeks. Kevin?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you point blank. Don't. I can tell a mile away if you're lying to me. I will know it. You are a convention whore, aren't you?
I'm an apprentice convention whore.
An apprentice convention whore.
Apprentice. This is my virgin outing this year, so this will be my third one.
This will be your third one.
Yes.
And then how many do you have coming up after this?
I'll have Horrified after that, and then I'll have. I guess you could consider Borderlands to be a convention. It's more attuned to just writing the whole weekend. But I'll have that, and then I'll start the whole cycle over again.
Scott, how many conventions have you been to this year?
I've just been to 3, but 2 of those are local.
Local up in the Arctic where you live?
Yes. A lot of us huddle together for body warmth and share books, share recipes. Call it a convention.
Okay.
Yeah, they make you pay to come in, so there is that. But we have our own little homegrown conventions here, quite a few, because we are one of the most literate states in the entire union. Because of course there's nothing else to do for 11 and a half months out of the year but read.
I did not know that about Minnesota.
It's true. It's the extreme cold temperatures. Yeah. Sometimes it's so cold we don't even get satellite or cable signal. We just must read.
That's you just light a penguin on fire and just sit by and just
the whale blubber or the penguin blubber. Yeah. Anything we can get.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But you've already nailed 3, but 2 are local. Kevin, where do you abode at?
I'm in upstate New York, right an hour south of Syracuse.
Are you really?
A little place called Binghamton. Yeah.
I would not have guessed that you live in New York State.
Yep. Upstate New York, an hour south of Syracuse.
See, as classy as you are, and as elegant as you are, and as intelligent as you are, I was going to say, at the very least, England. I thought maybe you came from England.
Well,
those people are classy over there.
They are.
They're very cool. But you're just from New York. That's not too bad, I guess. That's not too bad. But you're still within area of a lot of different conventions, and maybe that's why you're a convention whore.
Probably. Yeah, there were a lot more within driving distance than I originally thought. About a year or so ago when I started looking to go to conventions. I mean, there's nothing in New York at all. I mean, they're all in, like, Maryland or Massachusetts. But there's a decent number of them that are within driving distance.
So, did you just say, like, some of them are in Maryland, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Your voice dropped when you said that, didn't you?
Maryland and,
I was born and raised in Maryland.
I know, we've talked about this because of going down there.
Smackdown. You bring a guy on your show and he just pimp slaps you. I mean, did you hear? I mean, yeah, I said maybe you were from England, but did I go, oh, you're from New York? No, I pepped it up, man. I jazzed it. Wow, I'm going to take everything that has to do with Maryland off my resume.
Actually, Maryland's beautiful. If and this is no lie either. If our family ends up moving, Maryland will probably be the first place we move to. So, because my best friend lives down there, and it's very nice. He lives near Baltimore, and it's very nice down there. So, there you go.
That was a good switch around there. That was pretty good.
It's actually true. Because my best friend moved down there shortly after he graduated from college, and as soon as I went down there to visit him, I said, "Oh, I have to move down here." So that's always been like, we'd love to go down there sometime. So
that is, see, all right, people, listen up. The Lucia put his fingerprint on it. Maryland's a cool place to be. He gave it kudos. So if you're from Baltimore, if you're from Maryland or whatever, and all that hate mail you were starting to write, don't worry about it. Lucia took it all back. He likes Maryland. So, hey Scott, I got to move forward with all this stuff. But one of the reasons I clicked you in is we're going to be doing nonstop contest stuff tonight, giving away stuff, having wacky times. But you had access, and I guess Kevin's a part of this too. What the hell's going on with Shroud and what is it? I was reading something about it. You have to locate hidden things. Like people are inserting low jacks into very weird places, and you got to try to search for people and kill them. What are you doing? What is it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not actually a surgical procedure. Just so everybody isn't terrified by that, they're not inserting them in that weird of a place. Here's the deal. Now, someone, I have really no idea who started this trend. I haven't researched it, but someone out there a while back started something called geocaching, which is a good excuse to get your butt up the house and out doing what they used to call in the 60s hiking.
Oh.
I look it up in a history book, but people actually used to do this. They put shoes on and walk around in the wilderness.
On purpose?
Okay. No, really, not on purpose. But, it was the 60s. There's a lot of, acid. So what happens is with the geocaching, it gives you an excuse to go out and find something. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt.
Okay.
So people take, like waterproof containers, so whatever it is doesn't get spoiled, and they use their GPS, not the car version, because you don't want to be driving through the woods. That's real bad on the squirrels, but the portable unit. And they place it out in certain places. Now, there are all different kinds of games, but the most common one, and the one for Shroud, is where they take this prize, and it's a coupon, put in a watertight container, and it's put out in a state park or, somewhere easy to get to, so you're not going to, it's not like in the middle of a highway, okay, or in a badger den, all right? These are a little easier to get to. And the coordinates I put out there on the chat room, I'll put them out again, and we can certainly put them up at the website, but they are at Shroud's website. You can go check out Shroud's website and get the actual coordinates, elevation and all, and then you plug it into your GPS, and if you're anywhere near that region, because these are all over the U.S., there are 3 of them. One's already been found in North Carolina, but there are 2 more, and if they're nearby, you can go get them, and they're fabulous prizes associated with context once you get the coupon.
Lucia, you're one of the people that's attached to Shroud. You're in the pyramid scheme that is Shroud. You work for the man that is Tim Deal. Are you a part of this too? You know about this low jack thing?
Nope, this actually isn't my deal. I have nothing to do with this at all.
Okay, because what the hell's wrong with you people? You hide. There's something in North Carolina, and you got to go find it. And then there could be one in Minnesota. There could be one in Hawaii. You don't know. And you got to go find them, and you get prizes.
That is correct. You got to figure. I mean, Tim's ex-army and military, so I mean, this is like right up his alley. I mean.
Well, no, I understand that. I mean, the guy, and you can verify this. You can definitely verify this for us. Because a lot of things about Tim get blown out of proportion. He's a man of mystery. You maybe see him peek out in something like a context, a convention, where you get, 10 minutes to spend with the man. But you work behind the scenes with Tim, and I know that Scott, you're close with him too. In all truthfulness, and I've met Tim, and I've actually had more than a few conversations with him. For those of you who don't know Tim Deal from Shroud, and please verify this, gentlemen, the easiest way to figure out what Tim Deal's about, have you ever seen the movie Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr.? You know the character that Tom Cruise plays?
Oh, no.
Where he dances around all the time and goes, "Playa, are you a playa?" That's Tim Deal. A lot of people don't know this. That character was based on Tim Deal. Tim has more hair than that. But watch Tropic Thunder, especially if you go into context. Watch Tropic Thunder, the Tom Cruise character. That is him 100%. Gentlemen, do you agree?
You can either confirm or deny that association. I had been in such meetings where I would see Tim act in that type of way. I'm fairly certain my life would be in jeopardy if I mentioned it.
Yeah, I like standing, not burned down, so I decline. No comment.
Okay.
That's just
all right. I think that's a smart move from you guys. It's probably a smart move, but I'm just saying I'm not afraid. I've seen him. That's the way he is. He always walks around that little thing. He pushes a button, and music starts playing. He starts moving his neck around, and So it doesn't surprise me he's doing this hidden low jack deal. Now, Scott, what do we do with this? Where we can find it on the Shroud site?
It is. I put it in the chat room, but of course that scrolls by and is gone. You can check out the Shroud site. Just log in to their forum, and there's 1, 2, and 3. But of course, 1 has been found in North Carolina, and the other 2 are still out there in the U.S. somewhere. Of course, you can put it in. You can slap it in a browser, and it'll pull up the general area where it is, and you can see if it's near your house or if you want a journey, if it's worth the prize that's hidden there. Certainly, if it's within driving distance, you should go for it. And I know there's one that's somewhere east coast-ish. So that's like you guys. You have states about the size of some of our counties in Minnesota, so that's not much of a drive. So you guys.
Yeah, it's true. If it's in Massachusetts and you live in Florida, what the hell? Get in the car and go.
Right, just a couple of blocks over. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's like a few inches if you look at a map.
Exactly.
And how long do people have to find these?
Well, context. I believe it's associated with context, so they've only got a couple weeks left.
Okay.
So they got to get on it.
Wiki. All right. Well, that's cool. Scott, we're going to have you back later in the show. If you want to hang a little bit towards the end. You're going to be awake tonight, or you got to pass out?
I can't predict. That's too early. But I will hang.
Hang on, Sloopy. Sloopy, hang on. Do what you can, okay? I'll take that as a yes. Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, big applause for R. Scott McCoy, necrotic tissue, author of Feast, and my baby's daddy. Oh, all right. We'll have Scott on later in the show. That's cool. If once again you're into that GPS search and stuff, they got it, man. They got it for you. You can go find it and win yourself some prizes and have to do it, of course, by the time context rolls around. So let's get back to the Lucia.
Yeah.
Lucia, I have been eager to have you on this show as a guest for quite a while.
Well, thank you, sir. I've been eager to be on it. So.
You are one of these rare talents that comes around, and I'm one of the reasons I'm glad I caught you is once people get novel upon novel out, and they're climbing up the ladder, most of them don't want to ever, talk to a dude like me. Why would you? I got pants around my ankles. But
yeah, Joe Lansdale on. That was good.
Yeah. Well, Lansdale is crazy enough that he joined me. That was the cool thing about Lansdale. We didn't talk about it too much on the air that night, but he's a pants around the ankles guy too. So it's kind of a very secret coven we belong to.
Oh.
That's the only way I was able to get him on the show. But yeah, I mean that's major stuff. But and obviously, who doesn't want Joe Lansdale on their show? Oh my God, he's one of the best writers of our entire generation. But you know who may be there? And he's been doing this for what, 25, 30 years, if not longer. Mm-hmm. You know who could be there?
Who?
25, 30 years from now? You. Me. You could be there if you apply yourself, young man. And stop doing things like going to find GPS. That's loopy. Now that Scott's gone, that's freaking loopy. But
I'd seen him posting that stuff around, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I just said, nah. So, but
yeah, to have to walk somewhere on purpose.
Well, I have no problem with that. I mean, I live in nothing but woods and was raised in nothing but woods, so I love walking, but as far as the whole coordinates and things like that, I was like, yeah.
Well, like I'm saying, if you have a reason to walk, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. That's a good time to walk.
Right.
But to just say, what do I want to do today? Walk. Well, where to? Well, here's some coordinates. maybe not so much. But the thing, getting back to you, let's talk about you.
Okay.
Let's talk about you. It first clicked with me who you were when I believe it was, I think the anthology was Abominations. There was a story you had written in Abominations.
Yes. Water God of Clark Street.
Water God of Clark Street.
Yep.
That absolutely knocked me in the dirt.
Well, thank you.
I read this thing and went, holy crap on a cracker. This, it's one of, if you haven't read it, folks, it is one of the best damn short stories I've read in a long time. That, and there's a story, I believe the writer's name was R. Vance. R. Vance wrote this really cool story called My Elf, and I can't remember where it was, but another phenomenal story. Those are the kind of stories that come along, and they're just, by the way, that's an R. Vance whore, and an Abomination whore. We're really just kicking them out. But those are the kind of stories that come along that just really knock you down, and you go, holy crud. And then, and you're one of these kind of writers. You're very slippery. Then I started going back, and when I was researching, obviously for this show, I started going back looking at some other magazines and anthologies and things like that, and I'm looking up your work, and I'm like, oh, I remember that one. I read that. You're one of those guys.
I'm one of those guys.
That you kind of make that impression. We all read, we read a shitload of stories. You read your books, you read your anthologies, you get your magazines. You go through a lot, and there's those that kind of stick out, and you go, oh, good one. Oh, this was a good one. When I started going back, you were that guy in almost every anthology or whatever that I went, oh, I remember this one. How long did it take? First off, how long have you been writing overall?
I'd say probably seriously, like with intent to be published and looking at the market, probably the last 4 years. As far as just writing, I mean, I've been writing ever since high school. I was your.
Well, that's when they teach you, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I was your stereotypical kid who secretly writes novel and spiral, notebook, doesn't ever show it to anybody or something like that, So, but I only really got serious about looking at the market and trying to play stories probably about 4 or 5 years ago. But as far as wanting to write, that's been all the way back to 8th grade. So it's been kind of a lifelong thing for me.
When did you start getting your first ones out? Like when you knew that you were starting to get them, in there and moving and grooving and.
I was very fortunate. The very first story, it all kind of happened like flash in the pan, actually all in the space of 1 week. The very first story that I'd ever was published that not only was published but it was selected as editor's choice, and then I actually got a decent not that it's about the money, but at some point you got to look at that. Was when Way Station was published in Coach's Midnight Diner. And that was actually the very first short story I'd ever written and that I'd ever completed and got out there. And it was published and it was selected as editor's choice. And it won the top prize, which was, it was enough for me to blink twice and go, oh, well. So that was that moment right there. And that probably happened that was about 3 years ago now. That was. So.
Is that the story about the rather rude and boozing writer who's ticked off about his novels not.
Yeah, yep. That was a Cthulhu story actually. It's actually the very first Cthulhu story I ever wrote, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So.
What kind of story?
Cthulhu, Lovecraft.
What? Ah, okay. And what is that, Jez?
Cthulhu.
That's right.
Out of practice.
That's right. Kevin Lucia wrote a story about Cthulhu, didn't he?
Cthulhu.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jezzy's still working on some things. We have special classes for her.
I probably taught some of those special classes.
But that's one of those too. That the Coach's Midnight Diner, the anthologies that came out or whatever. That's when I went back and read it, I was like, I remember this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's and that was your first one that really kind of got moving.
That was the first one, yeah. And in fact, when I look back at that one, I still like that story. But it was 3 years ago, and that was a 10,000 word story. And at that time, I was like killing myself just to get it as short as 10,000 words, and so in the last 2 or 3 years, my style has gotten to be a lot more refined, a lot stricter word economy, so it's actually a little bit different style than what I'm writing now, but that was the very first one that got out. It was actually a watershed moment. That whole anthology and my interaction with that editor was like, if I ever do, this 25 years from now you're talking about, if I ever do get to that, I will look back to that story and Water God of Clark Street, because they were both like watershed moments as far as like turning points, as far as my writing career. So,
you said you had to work your butt off to get it down to 10,000 words?
Yeah, because I'm a as far as like my reading tastes are very I love Bradbury, I love Faulkner, writers like that. So early on in my career, if you want to call it career, every writer ends up imitating, their favorite. I'm a big Stephen King fan. He'll go on for 3 pages in one paragraph. So we end up, unconsciously imitating the people who we like to read, and that was the first story. Like, I had written reams and reams of stuff. I had never even finished a story until Way Station, because I had been working on a novel, because I was before that story, I was in that wonderful little dreamland where, I'm going to write my novel and just be famous and live in a cabin somewhere and never have to work or write a short story, because I'll just be a novelist. The problem was I spent 5 years rewriting half of the same novel, and I could never finish it. And it was and I guess
writer's curse.
Yeah, and it was long and wordy. I just didn't know, so I had to quit writing novels entirely. I just need to start working on short stories and articles so I can actually learn how to end it. And I didn't know anything about word economy or anything like that, and I'd never even had anything critiqued at that point. I had kept all my writing like inside and never had anyone look at it. So with Way Station, the limit for that anthology was 10,000 words or under, and I was like fighting just to get to 10,000 words, because I was like, I'm naturally very wordy. But now my learning curve, I could probably take a story, rewrite it, knock it down to 6,000 words easily, because of what I've learned in the last 3 or 4 years. So.
Yeah, I kind of did things ass backwards when I started. I had come off a former career, and my wife talked me into writing a novel, and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I wrote a full-fledged novel, and then when I tried to market it to sell it, they said, well, do you have any short story credits? And I said, I don't have a short story credit. I wrote a freaking novel. And they said, well, you need short stories, like, at least 3 or 4 really good short stories in major markets, which I just it fried my brain. So then I had to go back and reboot and go from writing. I used to write scripts, then I wrote a novel, and then I had to go back and start writing short stories to build up that resume so I could go back and market the novel.
Yep.
And that really is, I think a lot of us writers do that, where you start off and you kind of have that thing in the back of your head. I've written the novel. I am done. Bring on the dancing girls.
Yeah. And I'm actually fortunate that novel never got completed, because I just finally got to a point where I'm just like, I've just got to stop doing all this, because it was actually a very humbling realization for a guy who's got his bachelor's in English. He's an English teacher, to suddenly realize I don't know how to write. You know what I mean? Like, I just look at the internet. I can write some very descriptive prose, but I don't know how to bring a story to conclusion. I don't know how to finish anything. So I spent 2 or 3 years just doing nothing but short stories, and I enrolled in our local university, or Binghamton University. I enrolled in their master's in creative writing, and started that process and things like that. And I really realized that I had to learn how to actually, writing a good paper for college and getting an A, and then writing a good story are 2 different things. So I had to learn that. And I feel fortunate that I never got anything published and just learned that way. And and then last summer I had the opportunity to write Hiram Grange, which was another awesome learning experience too. So.
Yeah. Well, that obviously brings us up to another major subject. Shroud is unleashing a very daring and very original concept.
I think so, yeah.
It's are they full-fledged novels or novelettes, or what do you call them?
They're novellas. It's a novella series. There have been talks of doing novels in the future, depending on how this first series you know, how this because we're looking at it like, if you're thinking of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, other story, you know, TV shows where there's like season 1, season 2, season 3. We're thinking of these first round of novellas as season 1. You know, and
Gotcha.
depending on the reaction, you know, there's been talks of, you know, do we do graphic novels after this? Do we do a novel? I know that Tim recently, and he did make this public knowledge, so I can say this. Tim recently inked a deal with a larger distributor and publishing company right in New Hampshire. And the very first thing I think they want to market on a large scale is going to be the Hiram Grange Chronicles. And so there's talks of a Hiram Grange anthology, and then possibly Hiram Grange novels down the road. So.
Okay, are we going to have to throw down here? Is this one of these New Yorkin, I got my master's degree things with Hiram? Because I've been saying Hiram.
You know, I actually don't even know. Hiram. My wife says Hiram. I say Hiram. I think it could be either.
Potato, potato. Which one?
Potato. I really don't know. I think it could be either one. Hiram.
I'm talking about potatoes now.
He doesn't care anyway, so he's drunk and wastes most of the time anyway. So just don't call him late for happy hour.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really cool character.
Yeah.
Just this, or anti-hero, really.
Yeah.
He's not a hugely likable guy. He's not the kind of guy you'd probably want to take your daughter to the prom.
No, by no means. No.
He has addictions. He's basically, well, I mean, he's a killer.
Oh yeah, trained killer. Yep, he's a trained killer. He's a trained killer. He has addictions. He's traumatized. He's a loathsome man. He probably even loathes himself. You know, you couldn't call him an atheist. He knows God's there because God's the, you know, person responsible for killing everyone all the time. So he's like one of those guys who's like, yeah, I believe in God. I have no faith in him though. You know what I mean? So he's the ultimate, like, you know, he has no place in the universe. So.
Like Tim Deal, would you say he's a player?
You know, it depends. It's going to be interesting to see every writer's take on him, whether or not he's a player or not. I think he's in that hazy space in between where, depending on what space he is in his life, sometimes he can be a player. You know, or if he's at the top of the roller coaster ride, he's probably a player. If he's bottoming out, then he's, you know, lying in his own vomit in a gutter somewhere. He really is.
Been there, done that, baby. I know exactly what you speak of.
And I think either the second or the third book starts him out there with him lying in the gutter of his own puke. So, but he's a very complex character, and I have to give a nod again to Tim Deal for, you know, what he did. He did an excellent job of creating this character. You know, and then he set us 5 authors loose on him, and we spent. I mean, this has actually been over a year in the making. You know, we started drafting this back in April.
Yep, I remember. I probably first heard about it last winter.
Yeah, we started drafting and kicking ideas around, and we actually developed, you know, plot lines and a whole, like, Hiram Grange, like, Bible, as in, like, not Bible religious, but just like a collection of like information, and all he wanted us to do was make sure that Hiram's traits and quirks, you know, and his background and his history was consistent from every story, but we were allowed to do whatever we wanted to do with him and the style and the adventure. So you're going to get a consistent character that I think is going to grow as the series goes, you know, and like I think he's going to be a fun character to watch because, again, he does not wear the white hat. You know, he's not the sheriff. He's by that. You're like, for example, you wouldn't want him to take your daughter to the prom, but, you know, if that prom was, like, infested with zombies, then he'd be the only hope for your daughter. So,
yeah, I hate that. I hate that.
You know, so, and I think, and we were allowed to do great things with him, you know, from what I've seen of everyone else's novellas, you know, and I for me, you know, if anyone's familiar with the type of fiction I like to write, you know, I look at the character, and the one thing that didn't seem anyone was touching on is the fact that Hiram is a really screwed up guy, but he's really screwed up because, you know, at age 12 he saw his mom blow her brains out, and Dad disappeared. So I'm thinking, oh, geez, a guy like that's going to grow up. Yeah, he's loathsome, but he's got all these issues. So in my story, I was really very much allowed to play with, you know, you're going to get to the end of my story and be like, what was it? I think Tim was giving me feedback on my final draft, and he actually called me. He said, "You made me care for Hiram." He's like, "You bastard!" It's like, I can't believe you did that. You manipulated my emotions. And I said, "See, there you go. My job is finished here. I'm done." So if I can.
Now, which one is yours? You have
book 4, Hiram Grange and the Chosen One. And mine is probably going to be a little bit longer than the other ones because in the developing of the story arcs, we came up with because one thing about Hiram is he's totally egocentrical. You know, he believes he's the center of the universe, and you know he can but we thought it would be cool somewhere along the way to develop someone who basically could kick his ass everywhere if it had to. You know, and we also thought it would be, because he's also pretty much misogynistic to the core, it would be fun if that person was a woman. So somewhere along the line we drafted a character that you're going to see in my novella, and because I was dealing with to actually flesh the story out, I needed to tell it from her perspective as well. So my novella is probably going to be a little bit longer because we have 2 main characters in mind. We have, him and the Chosen One. So that they end up.
Oh, is she the Chosen One?
She is the Chosen One, or she may not be. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the arrangement I have with Jesse. That's very interesting. Very interesting. So, when do these start coming out? We've talked about them for a year. Do they have some kind of a launch date?
Yep, we're looking at. Last time I heard, we're looking at Halloween, October. That's what I had heard after he signed this deal with this new distributing company. That was the idea that they were looking at. Because I know right now, talking to Danny Everts, the guys in charge of layout and things like that. I know they're busy formatting the manuscripts right now, and the ARCs will be going out for blurbs, sometime in the fall. So yeah, they're scrambling on them right now, I believe. So.
That's good news, man, because I truly think when this thing hits, it's going to really, really go, because it's such a unique, cool idea. And now are these standalone, or do you have to get them in order? You know what I mean? Some series or the end of the cliffhanger where you got to.
I think the first three are very much going to be standalones. Very much going to be we're gonna carry the character forward, but I think they're you'll be able to tell that maybe one was written before the other, but none of them ended really in cliffhangers. You know what I mean? I think by book 3, things are. Is either book? I think book 3. I lose track of which book is which sometimes. There's eventually going to be some things developed along the way. We're going to be like, oh boy, I got to go back and read that one. But the adventures are self-contained. If anyone, the best parallel I can make, and I hope it's not a bad parallel. If anyone's familiar with the Harry Dresden series, the Dresden Files, Harry Dresden. It's going to be a lot like that, where you could pick up the 7th Harry Dresden book and pretty much enjoy it, but you might miss a few of the nuances because they're going to refer to things that happened to book 2 and book 3. But we tried to keep them as self-contained as we possibly could. Yeah, so I think it'll be cool. It'll be very cool. So.
You sound a little excited about it. You've got some inside track, and it's a good franchise to be a part of, dude. I
think so. When I saw that, because my introduction to Shroud was through the story in Abominations. That's how I got to know everybody. And when I saw the submissions call for it, at first I have to be honest. At first I just looked at it and just said, interesting, and I just didn't think about it again. But then I went and looked at it again, and I started thinking, this is a really cool story, because it's not. And you really can't even necessarily call it a horror series. It's more like a dark fantasy, because there's so many different. It's very multi-genre-ish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when my mind started wrapping around it, I was like, this would be a good thing to be involved in. So and like I said, for me it's a turning point, because I learned how to write the novella, which I think is a very important thing to do for a person that wants to get, when you're talking about someone getting published and getting out there and starting a career, just being busy. The novella is very specific, very hard to write. It's not a novel, it's not a short story. And I remember my first couple drafts to Tim were way too big, they were huge, and I had to learn how to not only cut words, but also cut down. I can't remember who it is that said this, because it's been attributed to so many people, but that old phrase, "killing your darlings." There's a lot
Yes.
of I had to cut out that I loved, but I'm just like, this is not novella length. I have to get rid of it. So it was a great learning experience. I think it was a good thing to be a part of. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think a lot of small press publishers too are starting to lean more towards the novella because because of they're cost effective, they're easier reads for people.
Yep.
You can get them out there and they can move. So I think a lot of the trend's going to start going to that. A lot of the really good writers I like to read are all going towards more of a novella side. So
absolutely.
Do you have some callers calling in? Let's click in a couple. This one's obviously egotistical because everything in the number is number 1. So 111. You're on the air. I'm not kidding you. You're on the air. 111.
Wow.
111. See? I have a feeling I know who it is, but they're just too shy. Now that I've called them out, they're scary. And I'll tell you something, and this is something for the ladies to catch on to, and in case 111 was one of the ladies that was calling in. I don't think I'm the only one who's picked up on this. I've heard Jesse kind of giggling a little bit. If you notice a theme with Kevin's writing, if he has one flaw, ladies, it's the fact that he's too long, he's too big.
Oh, stop it.
Man, he just knew how to pack it in there, and he actually had to pull back a little bit because it was just far too massive. It was huge. So very subtle. I like the way you've been sliding that in there, so to speak, and just kind of pushing it out there. So it's you're a sly dog. You're a sly dog.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, let's keep dancing around here.
Sure.
We've got another caller. Let's see what we have here. Good evening, 916.
There we go. And I was talking before because I thought that I was the 111 person, so I was going, hello, how are you? And and going, I guess they're not talking to me.
Well, we are now.
Indeed you are. Hey.
And actually, 916 is a bigger number than 111. So
there's a lot of people up here over on the West Coast where I'm at. Anyway, I'm sure millions of other people are, but I guess I'm the particular one that you're talking to at this point.
I think so. I'm going to go with you. And tell the fans who you are so they can raise their hands in the air and go crazy and pull out the party horns.
Stephen King. No.
Oh, my God.
Well, Kevin was in an anthology published by somebody that doesn't really exist in the publishing world anymore. But anyway, though, he was in something that, what was it called? Oh, yes, it was called From the Shadows. And Kevin wrote a really cool story in that. And I was like the featured guy that did the foreword to it. So,
what's
hi.
Mr. Nick Grabowski.
Fabulous.
Woo. Hey.
Mr. Nick Grabowski, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. I don't think I've ever talked to Kevin on the phone. We've had exchanged emails a few times, but
absolutely.
Yeah. And I just sent you a couple of books too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's right. Yep, I spoke to a couple of the guys. Yeah, that's right. That's very cool.
Yeah, Lincoln Chrysler's Magic and Misery, and then I kind of just pushed on to you. I think it's Kevin Mellor's The Gentle Art of Making Enemies. Two great books that go great together. So
just like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Just like one. Just like one. Only they're separate, but they're still, you know.
Now this is from your publishing company, is it not? The one you just launched?
Yes, it is. Black Bedsheet Books, and as a matter of fact, right now as we speak, I'm working on revamping your cover, Greg. And actually, it's looking a lot better than it was before. Greg is also an author of mine too. He's coming out with a book that he was talking about just before, his one and only book, the book that he tried to push before somebody started saying, hey, you got to have a bunch of short stories. So it's called At the End of Church Street, and it's going to be phenomenal.
I hope so. I've never read it, so fingers crossed on that. But you know what you need to do? You know what you need to do, Mr. Nicholas Gorowski? Not that I have to tell you, you of 25 years of excellent horror writing experience, but what I would suggest is every year for Christmas, maybe even twice a year, find another holiday, start sending stuff like fruitcakes to guys like Kevin Lucia. Start wooing them now.
Well, I'm sure he has plenty. Maybe we could think of something else other than fruitcakes. I think that those are a dime a dozen. We've got to think of something unique in particular. Maybe something to put into the fruitcakes. Hey, there we go.
There you go.
That's a very good idea. And twice a year, too, because...
This is a talent I think publishers need to start looking at and need to gravitate to. He's one of those guys. There's a group of guys out there, in my opinion, that start moving and shaking, and that I, at least for me personally, I really dig reading. You got your Kevin Lucia's. S.D. Hintz is a fun writer. I dig. There's a really cool writer named Natalie Sin, who puts out some really good fiction. These are people, they got a lot of the short stories going, moving and going. They're in all the anthologies, and they're starting to hit those novels. And I think in the next 5 years, they're not going to talk to us ever again. It ain't going to happen. They'll talk to you. They'll talk to you.
Well, who knows who they're really going to talk to, actually. If they're really go-getters and they really are into their craft and stuff, we're going to keep hearing about them, but who knows?
Kevin Lucia throws more words away than I can write in a short story. I'm lucky when I sit down and write if I can get into 4 digits.
I have the opposite problem.
And this guy is throwing digits, numbers. If I break 1,000, I'm lucky, and that's if I repeat a lot of words.
That's actually not a bad thing, because when you're talking about short fiction, that's where the money is, though. It's below 5,000 words. That's where I'm at right now, is trying to, and I may not ever get there, because I know many friends that are fine writers and they're novelists, and the short story is just not for them, So I haven't decided if I'm there yet, because I don't know if you'll notice, though, Greg, the stories of mine that you've read, that you've liked, they're all in that 6,000 to 8,000 word range. It's really anthology material. It's not like magazine material. Like when you're thinking of the magazine markets that are paying pro rates to 5,000 words and under. And I'm still, structurally, I can write a decent story, 5,000 words and under, but I really have a hard time, giving it that pow. I really need like 7,000 words. And that it may not be for me. I don't know. We'll have to keep plugging away at that.
A lot of it might be the way you say pow.
Could be.
You can't just say it's missing pow. You gotta go. It's missing pow.
Pow can mean a bunch of things too, like POWs. I mean, that's a completely different thing than
Yep. And if you say it backwards, it's a racial slur. So you gotta be careful.
Oh yeah, you do.
You gotta be careful if you're dyslexic. So, Mr. Nicholas, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. I said I would. We had a little talk before, Greg and I.
We shared a stone.
And I think I sent Kevin a little, like a Facebook reply somehow that I was going to be on. Yeah. So, I've seen a lot of your short stories, not just that From the Shadows thing, but weren't you in that one thing that I reviewed I forgot where it was from. You know what I'm talking about, I think. Some anthology. Forgot.
He's in every one of them that's come out since, like, mid-2008. Name an anthology, he's been in it. Were you in Malpractice?
I was, yes.
See, my work here is done.
Ah, okay. That was more recent. I think this was. Anyway, I've heard your name a lot from before From the Shadows and stuff, but you've actually over just the past year, your name has really accelerated and lit like wildfire on the internet. I mean, you're involved in Shroud, and you've got a bunch of very credible short stories, and Just fantastic stuff. Also, you kind of herald from Christian fiction in a way, don't you?
I did. I actually crossed right over. Actually, that's where I started was in that genre, reflecting my upbringing and my faith. And then probably around the same time that I told Greg, about 4 years ago, when I really made that serious decision, I decided that I wanted to be in this, I want to be more in the secular mainstream market. So that's kind of where I came from, or crossed over from. So yeah,
I pay attention to there's good friends of mine that write horror fiction, but write horror Christian fiction a lot, like Sue Dent, and so forth. And I used to preach too. I used to be like a Keith Green, almost, if you ever heard of him from the early '80s. I mean, man, that's I learned how to play piano from his music and stuff. So I used to be in the whole church thing and everything. And just one thing led to another. I still believe in certain things, but I just kind of let myself go. And I decided, I'm still I've got a statement to make, and who cares if I say a few F words?
Right, exactly.
Because they don't matter to me anymore. It's just raw emotion really matters, and my faith and my relationship with God, whatever that may be. I'm no saint anymore. I never was. But I pay particular attention to a lot of people that kind of herald from background that I do. I don't think I'd ever preach again. If I was set on the stage, I'd have something to say, by God. But it would be completely different than 20 years ago. But I just put it all down on paper, and Christians as a whole, as they are right now, predominantly, they just shun me. And okay, I've got my niche anyway. Thank you very much. I'm never going to go to that place in Florida where Jesus is as much of an attraction as Mickey Mouse is to Disneyland. I forgot what it's called now, the Holy Land place. Things like that. I just, it's ridiculous. So I think for myself, but I still believe what I believe in. Yep.
Well, I think that those beliefs can influence a lot of people, and I think you can take a lot of that. I mean, we've had Maurice Brodus on the show. And listening to how he views things and spins things is incredible. Different people from different Christian beliefs writing horror. But I don't think ever, I'm saying this publicly, I don't think ever any of that kind of writing or where your religious stance is should stop you from going to Jesus Land in Florida. Because that's a hell of a place. That's a really cool place. So, and the food, excellent. Oh. Those dudes can break some bread.
Cool. Who knows? Maybe I might go there, but
So, well, we got to keep shuffling on. You know what we haven't done yet? Speaking of giving, Mr. Lucia, did you have some things to give away tonight?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. If folks wanted to go to my website, it's I can post it right here on the forum, and I posted this earlier on Facebook and things like that. But my website is at kevinlucia.net /start, and I'm giving away some stuff, and it's a lot like the contest we've been doing here on the WerePig last couple weeks, but mine's a little bit different. Basically, on every page, I have a quote from an author, who I really, really like, or maybe I just like the quote. But all those quotes say something about what I feel about writing. And the challenge was to try to figure out, if especially for people who know me or people who don't know me or just want to guess, try to figure out which quote would be like the most important to me, and the least important, 1 through 5. Now I explained everything on that main page, and then just post your answers right in the comment section, and we're giving away a bunch of stuff, and need them for like door stops or paperweights or firewood, stuff like that. So
there are, how many quotes would you say overall?
There's 5 quotes.
Five quotes. People have to put them in order, which they think would be the most influential to you to the least influential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I put an example on my website, like, say I had quotes from Shakespeare, Salinger, Whitman, James, and Twain, and just list them 1 through 5, which you think. And this it'll be kind of neat for those people who know me, who've read my stuff, and based that sort of thing. And I'm taking first, second, and third place, and and you can post.
What can they win? Toss us an idea of what they could win.
First place was what I like to call the Kevin Lucha gift pack, which is it's really handy if you need doorstops, paperweights, if you're going to be low on firewood this upcoming winter. Basically, I'll be giving away Coach's Midnight Diner, Abominations, Raw Brutality is Art, Malpractice, and issue 5 of Shroud, which has excerpts from all the novellas. So that's like a whole ton of stuff for first
Wow. Place. So that's first place.
Yep. Second place, we still want to give away an issue 5 of Shroud magazine because we want to kind of get that Hiram Grange out there. But we'd also give away a copy of Northern Haunts that had my short in it, Old Bachelor House, and also a copy of the new poetry anthology that I'm going to be in by Kaskucom, Vicious Verse and Reanimated Rhymes, Zombie Poetry for the Undead Head. And I have a poem in there.
I have heard a lot about that thing.
Yeah, it's like a ton of good people in that.
Yeah, I think our Zombie Zach's in that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Zombie Zach's in it. Rich Bristow's in it. Steve Vernon's in it. You know, Sheldon's in it. Adam Whitlock is in it. So a lot of people are in that. So, and then third place would just be an issue number 5 of Shroud magazine. Again, that nice excerpt from Hiram Grange. So,
would it kill you to slip in an autograph?
Oh, I'm sure I'll autograph it. Yeah, I'll definitely autograph it.
Okay.
It'll be worth it.
Your own name?
What's that?
Your own name?
I'll autograph somebody else's name.
See, I do that shit all the time. That's one of the things that we're very proud of with Choate, is that we do autograph it, but we're very good spellers, so we will autograph any name you wish. and I don't think a lot of other places do that, but that's what we do. We go that extra mile. So, all right, so this is a major quote contest.
Sure.
List them, 5 of them in order. And obviously you have to know a little bit about Kevin to get him correct. And where do they send this again? Where can they find all this?
It's right at kevinlucha.net/start. That's basically my front page, and it's the first entry right there. And I've explained everything and given examples. And Andrew is wonderful and beautiful and posting that stuff already. So
Andrew Walter knows how to take care of people.
He does.
I kind of think he was like Florence Nightingale in another life. He's very, even though he has an attitude tonight, he's very caring. He's very huggy and caring. But and how long do they have to do this? You're going to bring it right up to context, or are you going to?
Oh no, we'll do it just like we do with the Funky WerePig. By the end of the week, we'll find out, and you can announce it on next week's Funky WerePig. So.
Oh, okay. So next week I will announce it on the show who won.
Sure. Yep.
We'll go. But do we have by the way a winner from last week? Do you know if we did?
I didn't look at it. I know that you emailed me the answer, and I know somebody did give the answer. I just actually haven't checked yet. So.
Okay. All right. Well, we can maybe bounce that back too. But that was they got to win Robert Dunbar's Martyrs and Monsters. It was a short story collection of his. And Robert Dunbar's he's a damn good writer. I'm going to say that publicly right now. In fact, I'm going to write it on a piece of paper. He's a damn good writer. Robert Dunbar.
He's a fabulous
and didn't you also win like an indie movie? What was
Oh yeah, because I've got a bunch of what was it? Moonshine.
Was it Moonshine? Something like Vampires. It was like called Moonshine.
Yeah, because Indie Films actually screwed up one of my orders, and they sent me like 5 DVDs for free. So and Moonshine was a Sundance selection, so it's pretty decent film. So
Sundance messed up mail order whore.
Yeah. No, Rob Dunbar is awesome. I've traded a lot of emails with him. He's been very helpful, and he actually set up a cool interview for me down at Horror Find with Count Gore. I don't know if anyone's
No.
Yes, so I have an interview at
this year at Horror Find.
Yes, I'll be interviewed by Count Gore at Horror Find this year. And
it's Count Gore Duvall. Cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Gore Duvall.
That's thanks to Rob Dunbar. So I was really happy about that. I was like, that's awesome, man. He's a good guy.
That's gonna be. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna be at Horror Find.
You know what you should do?
I'm gonna stand behind you as he's interviewing you, and I'm just gonna keep being that guy like you see on the 6 o'clock news when the reporter's going, well, the car went through the bank window here, and there's always that guy in the background that's kind of leaning into the picture. That's gonna be me.
You should contact Horrifying and try to do like a show with them or something like that. Because I know writing-wise, as far as writers, the scuttlebutt that I've heard, and we'll find out when I get down there because I've already paid and got a table and everything like that, is that it might be a little bit on the downswing this year as far as writers attending and things like that. So it'd be cool if it could beef that up again a little bit.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. Nicholas, are you going to try to go to Horrifying?
Oh, I'm going. With bells and whistles. Yeah.
That'll be
awesome. I'm going to have a
bells and whistles. Are they two other writers?
Huh?
Yeah. So you're going to be heading down. You're going to be guns drawn. You're going to be going down to Horrifying too. He just said they have a lack of writers. You're one of the top dogs.
Oh yeah,
in the business.
I'm bringing about 15 or 16 black bedsheet writers with me. A lot of them have already made they're going to do readings and so forth, but we're always going to have a table. We're going to have a table in the dealer's room. We're going to be a prominent force, as a matter of fact, at the whole convention. It's going to be an onslaught. So,
I think that's cool, and I'm very excited about being part of Black Bedsheet, but I'm telling you right now, when Lucia's being interviewed by Count Gore Vidal, don't get in my spotlight.
I'll steer clear.
Okay, that's my magic. So, all right, Nicholas, if I can, I don't know if we're going to do an after party or not. It's going to be up to Kevin how he feels. But if we do jump into an after party after the show, can you stick around for a bit, or you got to be moving and grooving, or?
Oh, I can try. I'm still working on your cover. So while I'm listening,
it's just my book, dude.
Around.
I mean,
it's great.
So,
it is great.
All right, well, let me cut you loose because I got to bring on. Speaking of the center of the universe, and the powers that be, and we've talked about it over and over again. That thing that all things revolve around. It's very soon that time we have got to bring on Andrew Walter. So if I can, Nicholas, thanks for calling in. I'm going to cut you loose for a bit and stay on the line. And if I can get you for an after party, that would be cool.
Oh yeah, I'll call back. I'm gonna cut off too, and I'll call back.
Cool, marvelous. All right.
You guys are on another 15 minutes, or how?
Something like that. It's
something like that.
It's another 20 minutes Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, okay.
Pacific Time, it might only be 14 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, it does work that way, don't it?
It do.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll come back.
All right, Captain. Thank you very much.
Bye, folks. Bye, Kevin. Okay, bye.
Have a good night. Yep.
That was pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
Delightful. Pew, pew, yeah, pew, pew. Which, if you're still talking about the church, could be where everybody sits. You ever think about that?
It's too bad that anthology he's mentioning, that was an anthology that he and I were both in, but it was through a publishing company that didn't quite have all the screws in the right place that it should have been.
I remember something about that, and they shall go unnamed. But yes, I remember a little something about that. And one of the good things is, of course, when something like that happens, you often get your story back.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And that story is actually, I'm actually in the process of kind of rewriting that into another project. We could probably talk about that in the after hours because I know Andrew's got to come on here pretty soon. So. Yeah,
you don't want to. Don't you dare cut into his time.
I won't.
He will smack you like a. So like a bad blind date. So let's Andrew, are you with us?
I am.
Do you hear the
Hey Greg,
attitude
hey Kevin.
Do you hear the attitude already? That's what I was talking about. Hey
Andrew,
how you feeling tonight?
I'm doing well. I have an attitude because you're having me make threats toward Lucia there, and Tim Deal's trying to kill me, so that doesn't help me out, dude.
Okay. All right. I'm just, anything I can do to help you, man. It's by the way, real quick for those who might still Kevin, can we do this? You said we already had a winner from last week. Tim Deal will kill Andrew Walter if we don't do what he says. You think someone's already gotten the right answer?
I've already logged in, yes, and this person actually left a name this time because we've been having problems.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So E.W. Bradfoot. The answer was tuba. So
what? Who won?
E.W. Bradfoot.
Ah,
Bradfoot.
Bradfoot. Yeah, Bradfoot.
Oh, is that E.W.'s last name?
Yeah, E.W. Bradfoot.
E.W. is the host for Paranormal.
Yes, the mortal E.W.
Yep. So he will be getting the as soon as I get a snail mail address from him, we'll send that baby on out. I just sent a bunch of things out earlier, so.
Cool. Well, EW, congratulations, host of the Paranormal. Jesse's partner up on the Paranormal show there. He's a pretty cool dude. You win Robert Dunbar's short fiction collection, Martyrs and Monsters, and the indie vampire movie Moonshine. And where does he go for that? That's at http://shroudmagazinebookreviews.blogspot.com thing, right? Is that what that is?
Kevin at shroudmagazine.com. Yeah, that's the email that send me your snail mail and.
Okay.
Don't send me any spam or porn or anything like that. Just
no.
snail mail.
No. Don't want to do that. So congratulations to you, Mortal EW. Very good. Very good. And Jesse, make sure that he knows he won.
Oh, yeah, we just congratulated him.
Oh, very good. Okay. Is he still around? Did he leave?
No, he's in the chat room.
Well, hello, EW. Thanks for stopping by tonight. What a fine gentleman he is. So,
and thank you for saving my life. I want to thank EW for saving my life for one more week.
Yes, you will live to see another week. But yes, the question was, my muse is Miss Utah, and I saw her at a strip club, and she came out on stage, au naturel, beautiful woman, and she came out and she played the tuba. And whenever I summon my muse to do my writing, that's who I see. And that's very cool that people actually knew what instrument she played. It was a shining moment in my life, and one of those things you kind of knock off the bucket list. You know, you're one step closer. You see Miss Utah naked playing a tuba. There's really not a whole lot you have left on the list. So, Andrew, do we have a bunch of whores?
We have some whores, and we have a beautiful person. I like the way tuba rolled over your lips, kind of like the way I say goblet.
Been there, done that, yes. You can fill a tuba like a goblet.
Yes, you can. That'd be a lot of goblet.
Yes. It's a cornucopia of gobletude.
I'm ready for some horrors. You ready?
I'm sitting right here looking at you.
Okay. I'm giving them to you. Our first horror of the night goes out to Morpheus Tales for their current open call to flash fiction submissions. The Morpheus Tales flash fiction special issue is limited to general horror fiction between 200 and 1,000 words. And for complete guidelines, you can visit www.morpheustales.com. That's our
Morpheus
first
Tales. They're from England, aren't they?
They are. They're them UK folk.
Yes, from Kevin's neck of the woods, yes.
That's right. That's right.
So good people over there at Morpheus Tales. Number 2.
Tonight's second horror goes out to Mr. Douglas Clegg for the pre-release of his anticipated supernatural novel, Isis. Now, Isis continues the backstory of Douglas Clegg's multi-volume Harrow Haunted House saga. Great saga. And it's now available to pre-order. Isis releases September 29th, and to learn more about or pre-order Isis, you can visit www.isisthevideo.com. This is like, everybody's looking forward to this. This is a great thing.
I've heard of this Douglas Clegg.
Have you? Yeah?
Yes, I have.
I met him. He's awesome.
Did you meet him?
Not only will I get a chance to meet him, but when I go down to Borderlands Writers Boot Camp, I'll be able to actually work underneath him and have him critique my work and things like that. So
You're a cheeky bastard. You know that? I mean, look at the connections you've made in a 5-minute span. You've had Nicholas Grabowski calling for you. You're going to be partying with Count Gore Vidal, and you're like, I'm going to be working with Douglas Clegg this year. What the? Okay, I'm cool. I get to brag that. Actually, I don't get to brag about anything. I don't know anybody. I am so going to be hanging. You're at Context and you're at Horrifying. I'm going to be just I'm going to be a loop on your belt. That's what I'm going to be.
Nice. I don't know if I am actually going to end up speaking on 3 panels at Context. So I'm officially listed as a panelist. So that'll be kind of cool too. So.
Nice. Okay. All right. This boy knows how to network. Andrew, let's name some other people that Kevin's close to.
probably in a minute here when we get to the beautiful person, but we got to do horror number 3 first.
Okay.
And our final horror of the night goes out to Damnation Books for their open call to novella and novel submissions. Damnation Books specializes in horror, dark fantasy, thrillers, science fiction, and erotica in dark settings. This is a newer publisher, so they're actually...
And they're looking for novels and novellas?
Yes, indeed. In fact, it's print novellas and novels and novellas, and anything under a novella they do as a ebook, but they're looking for print. They're actually looking at doing 12 titles every 3 months. So.
Oh, that is sweet. So Peoples, if you're looking for that open door for your novels, I know a lot of you guys in the Party Pen have novels in the works, or novels that you're maybe you got it over here, and over here is not treating you good. Yank that thing back and head over to these people. Give it a try.
Yep. For complete submission guidelines, you can visit their website at www.damnationbooks.com. And once again, I'll be posting all the links in the chat room as soon as we're done here.
Sweetness.
Sweet. Well, another few people in the chat room also that were asking about novellas and saying that there really wasn't much of a market for them, or they didn't know where to send them. So this would be a great place to start. Guess what I have, Greg?
Is it contagious?
I don't know. It could be. It's a beautiful person.
All right.
I don't know. You draw the line there. You connect the dots on that
beautiful
one.
Person. Let's go for it.
Okay. This week's beautiful person is Miss, or I should say, Lucy A. Snyder. You know who that is, Greg?
She the lady that pulls the football away from Charlie Brown every time he tries to kick it?
Yes.
Nope. Oh. Lucy A. Snyder is the award-winning author of Chimeric Machines, Installing Linux on a Dead Badger, and Sparks and Shadows, for which she won the 2008 Editor's Choice Black Quill Award for Best Dark Genre Collection.
Oh.
She's both a writer of fiction and poetry, and Lucy has also directed and will be, I think this year, directed the Context Writing Workshops. Was that a fangirl scream?
Yes, it was.
Oh. But most recently, Lucy is one of the many talented contributors to the Writers' Workshop of Horror, and Lucy's full-length novel, her first one, Spellbinds, will be available from Del Rey Books in 2010 and is the first in a 3-book anthology.
This beautiful person kicks some major ass.
She does. And for more information on Lucy A. Snyder, you can visit her official website at www.lucysnyder.com.
And she, too, will be at Context Day. She's a bigwig at Context. She's a mover and shaker. She is the con of Context.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Greg, you know something? Lucy A. Snyder has also co-authored several short stories with her husband, who is?
Gary Brombeck.
There you go, Gary Brombeck.
So, Gary did not take her name.
No, they've co-authored quite a few stories. And among the numerous publications in which Gary Brombeck has been published, I believe I recall his story, Some Touch of Pity, in the Beast Within anthology.
Ah, The Beast Within, that's a Graveside Tales jiggy.
Mm-hmm. And that same anthology featured a story by Joel Sutherland, who edited another Graveside Tales anthology called Fried Fast Food Slow Deaths, which, if I'm not mistaken, includes a story by Jody Lee called Clipped.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this person that did the fried food fast, whatever.
Oh, that's Joel Sutherland.
Thank you. Yes, Sutherland.
Yes, and it had a story in that same anthology by Jody Lee called Clipped, and it just so happens that Jody Lee's tale, Jogger, appears in the Hideous Evermore anthology edited by myself.
What?
By me, yes. Once again, it's just another... It's another example of how all of us writers and the beautiful people are connected to me.
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
That's you are connected to Gary Brombeck's wife.
Yep, Lucy Snyder.
Lucy Snyder, who is a an icon in her own right, a convention queen. One of these
most
days,
importantly, a beautiful person.
You're going to be hitting a wall one day. I'm telling you, one day you're going to say, and I'm connected to them, smack. No way.
Nope.
I haven't seen it yet.
Connected to all.
I think it's coming. So that's fascinating, dude. Every week I sit there and go, it's not going to happen this week. And you bedazzle me. In fact, that's what I'm going to get you for Christmas, a bedazzler.
Oh, nice. I'll put it on my goblet.
You're going to bedazzle your goblet. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, sir. That's some damn good listitude this week.
Thank you. And you can thank the goblet.
Thank the goblet. So, okay. And you're going to have some more for us next week?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Who's playing Yahtzee? I hear somebody playing Yahtzee. What the hell? So, hey, let's give this a try again because we're coming up on towards the end of the show. Let's give this who's 111 111 You're on the air. I bet you they're shocked because they're like, I'm not 111. I'm 111.
Spooky.
So, okay. Let's try 111. What's up?
Dun, dun, dun.
So, all right. Well, we are heading towards after party time. So we're going to try to fill up the house. Kevin, can you stick around a little bit for an after party?
Absolutely, sir.
Mucho cool. There's so much more to discuss. Now, with a few minutes left, we got a few minutes. Not just a few minutes, a few minutes. There are some things we've got to cover. Obviously, I got to announce that next week we're really beginning a Context run here. We're very excited. The Context Convention in Columbus, Ohio, is really turning out to be the place to be. If you're going to go to one convention this year, man, you don't want to miss this party. The Shroud Metal Hawk Necrotic Tissue Party is legendary, and you don't want to be the person that sits back and has to hear about the rest of us talk about it for the next 6 months. But they're awesome. So we're going to be what we have coming up the next 2 weeks. Next week is basically like a Context roundtable. We're going to do a special promo show, a preview show, whatever you want to call it for Context. And we're going to have all the big-wig publishers calling in. Some of the different writers are going to be calling in. And it's going to be one big horror fest. Maybe we'll just call it that. Maybe we'll just call it the Context Horror Fest. And the names that are going to be there are just amazing. I mean, there's Lawrence C. Conley, Maurice Brodus. We talked about Gary Brombeck, Lucy Snyder. Just one after another. I've heard Kevin Lucia is going to be there. There's this dude. What the hell did he write? Nightfall. Andrew Wolter is going to be there. It's just going to be a nonstop, just parade of really phenomenal horror writers and publishers. So next week we're going to have them all just squeezing into the show, being crazy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, we won't be having our Sunday show. We're going to jump out of the normal Sunday slot we do. And we're actually going to be switching to Saturday for a very special live broadcast from Context. We're going to be doing our red carpet special, in which we will be broadcasting right outside the Shroud Metal Hawk Necrotic Tissue Party and giving you all the really good deets on who's coming in, who's coming out, and, of course, what everyone's wearing, because that's the main question. So we're very excited about that. And then, of course, we kick back into high gear. After that, we got B.B. Chang, and we got Mark McLaughlin, phenomenal, crazy dude. He's a crazy dude in horror. They're going to be on the shows when we kick back into September. So we've got those coming up. And don't forget to check out www.choteroad.com and just swing by and wish us a happy birthday. There's a lot of fun stuff there. We are the Chuck E. Cheese of horror. So if you get a chance to do that, CHOATE road.com, and keep it going, man. Keep it going, because we've got a lot of stuff coming up in 2009, 2010 that's going to knock you on your butox. Kevin, if you would, can you toss people where you're going to be again, where people can find you, where people can get that central link to find out Lucianicitude?
www.kevinlucia.net.
Okay. No dotty dots, slashy slashes, just...
Nope, www.kevinlucia.net. That's it.
Okay. And that's the central hub for all the stuff that you can find out for Kevin Lucia. And of course, we got Hiram Grange. Hiram.
Yep. Hiram.
It's if anybody knows that it should be a long I, it should be you. Hiram Grange is going to start hitting big time in October, hopefully by Halloween. So that's something you definitely want to grab onto. And we didn't even get to talk about it much. Maybe we'll hit in the after party. You actually do a shitload of reviewing too, don't you?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
You're one of the more accomplished reviewers in the biz.
I guess. I'm not. I mean, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. You're like the Siskel and Ebert. You can break people's careers. You can put your thumbprint on something and it becomes a bestseller, or you can turn around and just go, not so much, and then they're just eating ramen noodles for the rest of their life. That's it. You've got that kind of clout, which I didn't want to flex early in the show because I thought I'd scare off some of the boys and girls. But you are that damn powerful. So people who sat there and said, I could have been an abomination. He ain't nothing. See, he'll kill you. He'll kill you. So, but we're going to be heading into the after party, like I said, so we're pretty cool. One question I did want to ask before we hit in there, it's kind of a Barbara Walters moment, if we can. Maybe I'll save it. I don't know. Should I save it for the after party, guys? It could bring tears. Okay. All right. I'll save it. But I did also want to mention a little thing we do called WerePig 101. It's a fun thing we do. We've been getting, the show's been really doing well. And I want to thank all the listeners for it. We've been kicking butt all over Blog Talk Radio. They always do their top 500 shows. And in our category, we're always ranked somewhere in like the top 30 out of 500 shows. So it's you guys that are putting us there. We're getting a lot of new listeners. So we do a little thing called WerePig 101. And this is for new listeners. Old listeners can do this too. It's always good to walk down memory lane. But we give you one show for the week that you can go back into our archives. And if you're on the Funky WerePig or you're listening to the Funky WerePig, you already know how to get here. So what you want to look for this week is one of our very first shows. This one was a pisser. I'm sure you guys remember it, Jesse and Andrew. This is the January 9th show, right up at the beginning of when we started. And it was a Graveside Tales Roundtable. And that was the one where we had Dale Murphy from Graveside Tales. We had, I think, Michael Holquist was there, great writer Michael Holquist. I think Nathaniel Lambert was there. Brett Jordan, the great Brett Jordan, was there. And just a whole big round table of people that were connected to Graveside Tales that were on the show. And it's classic. It's classic because I think that's the show that Dale Murphy, the Grand Poobah of Graveside Tales, who was our major guest, actually hung up and left because wrestling came on. So that's the kind of respect we got in the early days, and we're doing so much better now. I'm so happy. But as we wrap up with 1 minute left, let's just knock out a whole bunch of whores. Can we do that? I want to talk about of course, we're going to end up with Lucia whore. And if you're in the party pen tonight, keep by the way, chatting in the party pen. You know you guys go wild, and even though we stopped streaming live, you guys go crazy. But once again, I want you guys to practice whoring. It's going to be very important, and we're going to be dominating context with it. So while you're at work, sitting in the cubicle, just bark one out every once in a while. Whore! You know, when you're getting on the bus, you pay your toll. Whore! Just practice it over and over again and perfect it. So as we start wrapping things up, let's head out with Hiram. Can we say Hiram with a long I?
Hiram.
Okay.
Good. Hiram.
Okay. Hiram Grange whore. Let's do that. Hiram Grange whore.
Whore.
Hiram Grange whore. That had to be Andrew. He gets into it far too. That's a scary thing.
I love it.
So, Hiram Grange-Hoare, and of course, as we wrap up, we've got to give some love. Thank you, Kevin, for showing up. We've wanted to have you on the show for quite a long time. You're one of my favorite upcoming writers. You're kicking butt. I mean, you're at that Rio Yours, the Dunwoody, Joel Sutherland level. Dude, you just got to get some more novels out, and then people are going to be crunched by you. So I give you, sir, Lucia Hoare. Jazzy, that was almost coddling. I mean, were you like mentally petting him when you did that? What was that?
I've been practicing.
Yeah, whore. Little scary. Oh, all right. We are officially in the after party. 416, you joined us. You're in.
Hello.
What is up?
The temperature is up. How about you?
Is it really? Is it hot tonight in Canada?
Holy frack, yeah.
What did you guys get?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. I stay inside and get air conditioned.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Zombie Zach. Zombie Zach is joining us in the
Hello, people.
You guys are in that anthology, the poetry thing together, aren't you?
Yes.
Fishes verses.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Fishes verses and reanimated rhymes.
Okay. Pitch us on that. Both of you are in it. What you don't usually see is this whole thing poetry?
Yep.
That's a rather unique anthology. You don't see a lot of anthologies dedicated to poetry.
Yeah. Shroud is we're actually I'm editing a poetry anthology for Shroud right now actually. Hopefully we'll get back to it here soon. So, yeah, so
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So what's this one? Where's this one from? Where's it coming out? When do we get to read it?
It's out now. It's on Amazon.com, .ca, .uk, Barnes & Nobles. It's from Coscombe Entertainment.
Yep.
Okay. And you're in it, Zombie Zach?
I am. I got 3 poems in there. They're yummy.
3?
There are 90 poems in the book.
Yes.
90 poems, and you got 3. That's not a bad ratio.
I liked it.
So, and Kevin, how many do you have?
I just have 1. Yeah, I have
1. Yeah, but it's like 10,000 words.
It was an epic.
and it all rhymes. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. Kevin, now I know Zombie Zach. Zombie Zach is actually one of the more underrated poets that I know. Zombie Zach has mucho talent, and he doesn't flaunt it that much, but I'm hoping he starts to soon because you, sir, are damn good at what you do. But Kevin, poetry?
Yeah.
Poetry?
Mm-hmm.
How did this happen?
I've always liked reading it. As far as writing it, it's kind of a new thing for me. It developed when I a couple of years ago. Part of when I was deciding to start getting serious about my writing, I applied for my master's in creative writing over here at Binghamton University, and part of that was going to be workshops in poetry and things like that. And then that's what started develop that. And I'm a very lazy poet. I mean, I have to admit. I mean, people who really are into poetry, I mean, they attack their poetry like I would my short stories. Where I'm writing, I'm writing every single day. The people really serious about poetry. These people I had classes with. I mean, they're just banging them out all the time. Me, I write poetry basically when I feel like it. Or like if I see an anthology calling, I can wrap my head around it. I'm like, yeah, but actually poetry has really helped me with my prose, because it's you're really talking about word economy and really powerful words and stripping, away all the the useless words that we use all the time, and you're really looking for very specific words that generate a specific image. Poetry has really helped me improve my prose quite a bit. So like I said, I'm kind of if I see something, there's another poetry anthology that I may or may not be in. I can't really give the name out yet because it's still editing. It's still in the edit phase. There'll be hopefully some poems there, and I am editing a poetry anthology for Shroud. That'll be pretty unique too. So So poetry's cool.
Isn't that the Miskatonic Falls?
Yes, the Terror at Miskatonic Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that'd be really cool because it's basically a very Lovecraftian poetry. It's kind of it's right up there in that mythical Miskatonic County. It's all part of Lovecraft's creation, and the poetry. The poetry anthology is split into 3 cantos, and all the poems they're all narrative poems. We're trying to link the poems together to tell the story of this town that gets kind of snowed in and cut off, and slowly people just go insane, and then finally at the end of the, finally when people are able to get into the town, everyone's gone, So
that's called Detroit.
Yeah. So.
I can agree with that.
So, is this still open for submissions, or are you guys wrapped up now and you're in the editing phase?
We're in the editing phase now. Yeah, I've got some really nice submissions from a lot of nice name people. So it'll be and there's going to be a little bit of fiction. There's going to be a little prose in there too, because we need a framing device, to set up the poems. So it's going to be mostly poetry, but there's going to be like bits of prose. From the, basically what happens is the state police end up coming in after everything's done, and they're going through the town, and so that's going to be kind of our framing device. So it should be very interesting. It should be very, very. There's not a lot of poetry anthology out there, So they're like in the dark horror realm. So it'll be a nice piece. I think we get done with it.
Oh, that's funny. Not that it's funny for you, but I just have to tell you, and this is what only thing that this can only happen in an after party. Someone that has been dying to call into the show all night. Someone who's been dying to call into the show all night and hasn't been able to get through. Just called me on my home phone. As if I'm supposed to click over and hold the phone up. And say, you're in the after party now. That's funny. That's cool. I enjoy that. Yeah, I think they're just going to get the machine. That's what I think. But unless I wanted to do Dale Murphy. Hold on, guys. I got to take this call. Keep talking amongst yourselves, though. But, no, that's cool. Now, okay, so we've revealed that, obviously, you have done the short stories. You kick butt there. And the Water God of Clark Street, is that the proper title?
Yes, the Water God. Yep.
Yeah, that thing. I just can't praise it enough. Well, that's a story that when I read, I actually called Scott McCoy after I'd read it, and he said it was his favorite story as well. I was like, oh my God, who the hell is this guy? And that's how I kind of found out about you, because you just read that story once in a while that knocks you on your ass. That story in particular is one of those that you could tell. I don't know who your muse is or what you see or what instrument they play, but you were as one in that one. It was an original story. When the ending came up, I love stories that I think I know what's going to happen. Because there's only, what's the old saying? There's only like 5 or 6 things you can really write. Right. They're all fall on the same theme. And we all do it as writers ourselves. Anytime you read somebody else's story, I know where you're going with this. I got you. And I love when I get, just pimp slapped and go, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't. And that was when by the time the ending came up, I just, huzzah to you. I mean, that was really damn cool. And one of those, I love stories that when they come out, stories or novels, that when they come out, the number one thing we keep hearing over and over again is that there are no original scares, there are no original monsters, there are no original stories. We've all kind of read it somewhere before. Right. And I love when I find that one. I know I haven't read this before. So that was cool. Where do you get your inspirations for stuff like that? Like, and you said it was a watershed moment for you when you wrote that story and it got published.
Yeah, that was a watershed moment for me for a couple reasons, and it's funny because I'm actually going back to, because I love that story myself. The stories that I've written in the last year or so, besides Hiram Grange, I think the one thing I like, what I've written in the last year or so, my Hiram Grange novella is what I like the best. one, it was a watershed moment because I almost never submitted that to Abominations to begin with. Because
really?
I was cruising the net and I came across it and I found this submissions call and I found Shroud's website and I'm like, yeah, it would be perfect. Then I started looking at Shroud's website and I'm like, oh, there's no way, these guys are too big for me, they're too huge. Look, they're putting a novella out by Tom Piccarelli with an introduction by Brian Keene. There's no way I'll get into the anthology, you know. But I did submit it there. And it's kind of like one of those things where, like, if I had never submitted it there, I never would have met everyone. I never would have been, involved with Hiram Grange. I would never be involved with the magazine now. So it was one of those things where I just, like, it hung like on a pin. I'm like, do I submit this? Do I not? And I said, oh, I'll just go ahead and submit it. You'll see what happens. And then I was like, blown away when it was accepted. But as far as the other watershed moment, it's kind of like a retroactive watershed moment because. And thank you for the praise. You've had me blushing here at home. The thing I'm trying to do now is looking at the short stories I've had published, and I'm trying to try to get some of those professional sales under my belt. Trying to crack the code with that 5,000 word. And unfortunately I got some momentum with those stories, and then what I started doing is I think I started lining up publications and anthology calls, less because I really felt like I wanted to write that story, and more like, oh, look, there's an anthology call by Apex is paying pro, and it's Apex, let's submit a story. Whether or not I really liked the call, you know what I mean? Like,
right, yep.
The anthology could have been like, radioactive zombie weasels, and I have maybe not.
Zombie Zach, write that one down. That's a good one.
Well, you looked in the fridge. And maybe I didn't care. Maybe I didn't care a thing about that. But what would go through my mind is like, "Ooh, Apex! It would look really good for me to be an Apex." So I think I wrote some stories after that were technically, like as far as like a prose word, they were okay. But like that Water God of Clark Street, that was originally generated in one of my writing workshops in grad school, and then I took the whole semester and wrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it. It actually started out life as like a little fable, like a little like children's fable.
I can see that.
And a lot of folks were like, "This is really great. We think it'd be awesome if the protagonist was a little bit older. There's a little more tension in there." So it took me a whole semester of like winnowing away and really working on that story. So I've actually kind of gone back to the process that with Water God and start looking at the short stories I'm writing now and thinking maybe we should be cranking out less stories. If a submission call comes up, even if it's like Cemetery Dance, and they say, send us poop on a plate and we'll publish it. If I don't really feel, the desire to write that story, then I probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I am right now. Because with Water God of Clark Street, I had the image from the very beginning, and it was so strong, and there was a vision with that story. Some of the stories I've written in the last like 2 months, maybe that like technically you read them and they sound good, very descriptive. Maybe not that quite that same vision. So I'm kind of going back and retooling a little bit that and trying to approach it from that perspective. So I'm glad you like that story. It's destined to be rewritten into a novel, I think. Because
I could, there's definitely room for expansion. And Lord knows, you're like Andrew Walter. Anything under 100,000 words, you're.
Well, what happened is I'm in the process of right now, and I never meant to do this, but I guess I'm essentially working on a trilogy right now. I didn't really intend on this happening, but back in April I started writing something because I think it's time for me to work on a novel. You know what I mean? Try to work on a novel, try to pitch it somewhere. So
I can agree with that. It's the next level. You've knocked out the short story stuff. You have gotten into paying markets. I mean, and we all have the same natural evolution. You might start off in some free zines to get some credits and get your chops a little bit, and that's always cool. Then you move up, you start trying to get into some anthologies, magazines, paying markets. Then you shoot for some of the bigger boys.
Yep.
You've already got your novella coming out. And it's only natural that you would go for a novel, and just in case anyone missed it, and you can listen to it in podcast and rewind this, go back about 5 minutes. You're talking about a guy that was flat out saying here on the show that even if Cemetery Dance wanted poop on a plate, He's your man. How old are you, Kevin?
What's that?
How old are you?
35.
Poop on a plate at 35. Congratulations to you. I envy that. You know, because I usually say shit like a monkey flinging poo, you know, something like that. But you actually serve it on a plate, and that's very kind of you.
There you go.
It's that English upbringing again.
You know what else he said? I was on his website, and I noticed he used the word bippy. Of course, he didn't say sweet bippy. But it was
used
pretty
what?
close to bippy.
Bet you're
Bippy?
Bet
B-I-P-P-Y?
B-I-P-P-Y. You bet you're Bippy.
Oh dear God!
Impressive.
That's from Laugh-In, I think, in the 60s and 70s. You bet your bippy.
I'm a vast repository of absolutely useless cultural information, which makes me a writer, basically. So. Yeah,
and I would agree with you again, 100%. If I knew what half those damn words meant. You're a depository of what?
A repository, a vast repository of absolutely useless cultural information. So I have all these, bits and sayings and stuff like that.
I'd like to see you throw down with Zombie Zach. I think Zombie Zach and you could trade some very insane depository stuff.
Isn't repository like a urinal?
Yes. Google it.
I did want to say one thing though. On Kevin's blog, I was looking at it because I'm a nosy stalker, and
nice.
I noticed that he has this really cool little video clip of him and his Monster beverage can. And I just wanted to say I loved it, so I thought I would try that with my coffee mug, except that I forgot to empty my coffee mug first. So thank you, Kevin.
No problem.
There's actually video footage of Kevin in a beverage can?
Well, I'm trying to figure out where that is. That might have been an older blog. I'm not sure if I use it anymore. Back when I was blogging a lot. Like I used to blog every single day, and I almost had like a readership. But when it got down to having kids, and kids and things like that, and going to grad school, the choice became, am I going to blog or am I going to write fiction? So I had to give up the blog, but for a while there, I mean, everyone knows I pretty much like take Monster Low Carb and pop an IV in it and suck that stuff right down. So that's pretty much my opiate is the Monster energy drink. So I had this nice little clip of me like going to drink my Monster and it's empty and me giving this scowly little face because I can't get any Monster out of it. I can't remember where that video is now. No, it's somewhere. I don't know. It may be on one of the older pages. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it today.
Yeah, so...
That was before my coffee shower.
Yeah.
You've got me flip-flopping like a presidential candidate. I can't decide whether I want to hang out with you or not.
Who, me?
Yeah.
We'll have a good time, man. We'll have a good time.
For 1 minute, I'm just like, this is the coolest guy on the earth. I got to hang out with him. And then you say, poo-poo on a plate, and you've got a pouty face because your Monster drink is gone. And I go, maybe a distance would be a better thing. Wow. Now, Jesse and I actually had an issue that, and you probably don't even remember this. A busy guy like you, an upcoming icon in writing. You're 50% probably stockholder shares in Shroud.
Oh no.
Playa. You probably don't even remember this, but Jesse and I do. Have you ever done anything with the story that we knew you would take and run with? The one night you were on, I can't remember who was the guest, but you had popped on, and it was the famous night on the WerePig where we lost it later on somewhere in the show because there was noise and Jesse giggling.
Oh, Loki in the fridge.
Loki in the fridge.
I'm just waiting for the radioactive zombie weasel or ferret anthology submission call, and I'll be...
Okay. Yeah, there was the night where Jesse, during the show, for whatever reason, decided to lock her ferrets in the fridge and then scared the crap out of her husband when he opened them up and these frozen ferrets jumped out.
I didn't do it.
However it was arranged, whatever cover story you want to run now, Jesse, it's fine. It's recorded. We know what happened. You were trying to punk your husband with frozen, nasty ferrets, and they came out of there pissed. You could hear it on air. They're, just really. I mean, just you hear your husband screaming and running in the other room and all this kind of stuff. And then of course you could hear the wheels turning because you were like, I'm like, ferrets in the fridge? What the? It's like a bad Doors song. Ferrets in the fridge. And then you would say something about, well, it's Loki. Loki's in the fridge, and you could hear Lucia just go, bing. He's like, Loki in the fridge.
I have a little notebook and I write everything in there. If it strikes me, and I'm like, there's like probably at least 5 stories in there that I want to come back to sometime when I have time.
Okay.
So put Loki right in there.
It's still on the list then, right?
It is, absolutely.
Jez, are you going to get any kind of kickbacks off of this? Or at least give it to your husband. Jesus Christ, the man's traumatized. To this day, he makes his kids open the fridge first.
No, you know what happened, though? We put the fridge up on a big cabinet so that you can't, just climb into it. But now the ferrets scale the bed and climb onto the cabinet, and they go to the fridge and they open it up and climb in anyway.
Yeah, and then they smoke hash and they take your car out and wreck it. What the hell are you spinning?
I did not do that.
What the hell kind of, Yeah, now they have the keys to the place, and they climb up in the fridge, and they get whacked out on monster drinks with Kevin Lucia, and they all sit around with the little ferret pouty faces.
God, if they had access to monster drinks, it would be bad. Today they tricked me into getting to my coffee while I wasn't looking. I'm not kidding. They sent one as a decoy after a chocolate bar that was in my purse, and when I went to get it, I turned around, and there were 3 ferrets drinking my coffee at the same time.
Is this like Alvin and the Chipmunks? Do they talk to you, too? At the point that you're like, they teamed up and they fooled me. They're ferrets. They don't sit down and move like little pieces around. She'll be standing here at about 9 o'clock. And what I want you to do is go over to the purse. And when you get to the purse, do this. And the 3 of us, she always puts her coffee over here. We will make a run for the Jez, we'll talk about this later. We'll take because there's
it's like a G-force moment, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a couch in waiting for you, young lady.
That movie was actually written about them, just so you know.
Oh, dear God. Oh. But so Mr. Lucia.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk to Mr. Lucia, the reviewer.
Oh boy.
We're going to ask a couple poignant questions.
Sure.
We've got another good 10, 15 minutes to go on the show. Let's end up with Kevin Lucia, the reviewer.
Okay.
I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, name the top 3 worst pieces of poo on a plate that you've read. Because I know you've read, we do reviews as well on Choate Road.
Right.
And not to the volume you guys do, but, we do reviews and we post them up and whatever. And, we because we get so little time to do our reviews and we only go up, with the reviews once a month, it's limited to how many we can hit. So you always try to hit the most positive ones. And, our theory on Choate Road is if we've got limited time and space to put up a review, don't waste it bashing a book. Pick one you like because that obviously will be more positive and help people get a book.
Right.
What are some books that you have read in this year so far, which is 2009? I wrote that down myself. Didn't even have to check the notes. In 2009, what are some most must-read books that you've stumbled upon?
All right. And I'm pulling
the ones just off the top of your head that you're like, that was a damn good book.
Definitely within the last year or so, and I didn't end up reviewing this for Shroud. I reviewed this back because I before I wrote for Shroud, I was a weekly columnist for our city newspaper, and I did a book review column for them. The Reach by Nate Kenyon was fabulous. Okay, that was back, I think, within the last year. The Reach. That was before his most recent one called Bone Factory. Bone Factory was good. I liked Bone Factory, but The Reach was absolutely.
What's it called? The Reach.
The Reach.
The Reach. That's an awesome.
Yeah, it was
by Nate Kenyon.
Yeah, Nate Kenyon. It was really, really, really good. Both The Pines and The Shore by Robert Dunbar. I like them both, but I really like The Pines, I think, best if I were to pick the two of them. They're both very, very good by Robert Dunbar.
I actually think I have The Pines in my to-read pile, if I'm mistaken.
Pines is really good. I'll give a cover statement. Anything Gary Brombeck is good. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's if I had to pick, I'll say this even on podcast, and I'll say this right before context. If I could pick like my top 3 people that I could get to be on the WerePig, I already nailed one that made me very giggly. And I got a few more coming up, but Gary Brombeck is one of those guys that when you read his book, and I don't know if you do the same thing I do, but I read it twice. I read it once as a fan.
Yep.
Because his books are amazing. I love them. But then I go back and I actually read them as a student.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And go, how does he do that? What did he do here that made me go, ah! That was,
I'm actually right in the middle of his Far Dark Fields right now, and it's absolutely fabulous. And I got a chance to meet him too back at Borderlands, and hopefully this year he will be in the novel category, so I'll get a chance to work with him also. So
cool. I got to meet him at Context last year.
He's a great guy.
And, fantastic guy. And I got to talk to him. It was one of those, and this is one of the cool things about Context. If I can pitch Context yet again, a lot of conventions you go to have the velvet rope type of mentality.
Right.
Big guys over here, fans over here, never the twain shall meet until they kind of wave you over and you're allowed to have your 20 minutes or whatever it is. And you kind of shuffle through and get your autograph. Or they have the big table. You just kind of keep moving the line like it's a buffet table. Right. One of the things that's very cool about Context is they don't have that velvet rope mentality.
Right.
And you can walk down the hall. Like last year, it was so cool. I could walk down the hall, and you'd pass Brian Keene coming the other way.
Yeah.
And you'd stop for a second and go, hey, Mr. Keene, I really like your books, and blah, blah, blah. And he'd stop and talk to you for 10 minutes, and you keep walking. It was like one big frat party. Everyone mingled. Right. And I got to corner Gary Brombeck. And I'm a pretty big guy, so I kind of strategically waited until he was actually stuck in a corner. And then I threw my arms and legs out so he couldn't go anywhere. And I held him that way for like 15 minutes, so I had private time with him for about 15 minutes, so that was very cool. That guy's just an education. I mean, he's one of those guys that starts talking and you open the mental Rolodex. You just start taking notes.
Well, have you read this, Brian Keene, if you want to go up there, and I don't know if they're available, but have you read his blog memoirs? They're really, really good. I think they're out of print now, though. I got lucky and got left. They're very, very good as far as education, like, his career and things like that. So.
And then on the flip side, like I mentioned last week, the other thing about Context is when you finally get to be a star. Example, me being on the dance floor with 6 gorgeous women, which it's on tape, man. It's on YouTube somewhere. Me and 6 gorgeous women. That is a dream come true. And then all of a sudden you get some guy, some playa, Tim Deal that goes, 6 girls, 1 guy, hell no, and jumps in the middle of my harem and starts busting a move to Thriller. Then you kind of wish you had that velvet rope. So, but you'll have a good time this year. You'll have a good time. You'll be amazed at all the people you get to meet.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so Brombeck and obviously Robert Dunbar.
Yep.
Nate Kenyon.
Jeff Strand's Pressure was really, really good.
He's pretty nutty, isn't he?
Yeah, it was good, though. Pressure was very, very good. Very good. And what else? A couple British authors. I read Through a Glass Darkly and The Absence by William Hussey from Bloody Books. They're an imprint of beautiful books. Those two were both very good, very literary, very strong stories, very, very mythic, very, like dark fairy tale stuff. It was very, very good. Both of those were very good. I like those.
How many books do you read a week, just on average?
Like right now, well, not probably takes me at least especially this is summertime, so I don't have to worry about teaching and stuff like that. I mean, probably at a moderate rate, I'll get through a book in 2 weeks, but I'm always reading 2 books at a time. Like I read a morning book during breakfast, and like kind of for afternoon. Then I have a night book that I read at night. So it's kind of how.
Oh, look at you, so organized.
Dude, it's the only way. Because I mean, like I said, I've got grad school, I've got teaching, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. My life is the epitome of, like, you know how they say that I'm too busy to waste time, and like you think of all the time you had like back in college when you're just like screwing around. It's like, oh, I've gotten more accomplished in the last 4 years because I have no time to screw around than I got accomplished when I was in college, and I had like all the free time in the world. You know. You
have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
I have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. So.
And you're cranking out the work you're cranking out.
Well, I don't sleep a lot. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I write for about 3 hours until everybody else gets up. Hence the energy drink addiction. That's really.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I have a 5-year-old that is very dominant in our household. He actually runs it, and. I know of what you speak, and I haven't slept. I also have a 15-year-old, and I haven't slept since he was a kid. So I'm going on 15 years without sleep. But unlike you, with the energy drinks, I just do the crystal meth.
Oh, that helps you lose weight too, from what I hear.
I'm svelte. Anyone who knows me knows I'm svelte.
I love his 6-pack.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's awesome, dude. That you're able to crank that out with the double duty. I mean, 4 and a 2. That's that's constant. And it's not like even like one's in school yet.
Well, my daughter will be in full-time she's turning like 5 this year. She's going to be going to pre-K in the fall. And my son. Actually, he's 2, but he actually started a special school this summer, and he'll be in school full day through the school year because back in April, my son was diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
So he will be, but it's kind of in that hazy. He's definitely delayed in speech. You know, and it's kind of in that hazy area right now where they don't know if it's true autism or it's just because he's delayed in speech he couldn't pass any of the tests. You know, because he doesn't.
Well,
so.
I actually have a huge history with autism myself, and I do a lot of charity work. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but I do a lot of charity work with autism awareness, and that's one of the things about autism is, especially if you can catch it early, you can really make huge differences right off the bat. The more we find out is the parents that wait until, when they really get into school, 6, 7 years old, and then they get the diagnosis, a lot of the habits and a lot of the walls have already built up by then. Yep. But if you can catch it, earlier on, especially before they really hit into kindergarten or first grade, you can, really make that curve go your way because it is such a spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
Where there are different levels. I mean, everyone kind of has this perception it's always Rain Man.
Right.
And it's not. It's not.
Yeah, and actually my daughter doesn't have any type of medical diagnosis, but she actually herself is on the autism spectrum. She has she was classified as a sensory integration disorder. So it's not a diagnosed thing, but she has traits and tics that are on the autism. We've learned a lot about autism in the last year and a half, as you can imagine. So, but you're right about the early intervention. I mean, he's only been going to the school for about maybe 2 months, and there's already like a marked difference. So we think things are going to turn around probably next year or so.
Yeah, I know when we went through our situation, the most eye-opening thing, because when we found out about autism in our life. We found out about it, way before people, it was much more common knowledge, and you could just Google search stuff.
Right.
And I remember one of the first idiotic questions I asked when we found out the diagnosis was I wanted to know, basically, I mean, it was kind of like, And does this, does it stabilize? Does it fizzle out? Is it like a time, like, oh, he'll be autistic for 6 months, just get over it, or is it, or is it contagious, or is it, stay away from wheat? I mean, what the hell is it? But and the fact is, in reality, even now, we still really don't know. I mean, it's they find out new things every day with autism, and that's why, like I always say, when I do my other jobs outside of the horror and the funky WerePig stuff, preach awareness, because the more people learn about it, the more that it's not so scary, where people just have that, well, I've heard an autistic kid ran down the street and bit off a nun's head. That's what I heard. And then you realize that's just Zombie Zach. That's all that was.
Yeah.
And the nun probably deserved it anyway, so,
But, no, that's very cool, dude. And it's, to get a jump on it. And still, I mean, you're a teacher, and I know Tim doesn't cut you any slack. You're working your ass off through Shroud. I know when you come to Context, it's going to be one of those Kunta Kinte moments where somebody's going to wind up seeing you take off your shirt, and there's just going to be these whip marks and scars from your time at Shroud.
No.
So.
Yeah, working with Tim is awesome. I mean, he doesn't really ask. Basically, I review and I send them to him. I do interviews and send them to him, and he doesn't. It's actually been reviewing for Shroud has actually been the easiest gig that I've had so far. Because it's a quarterly publication. See, with the paper, that was a weekly column, 2 reviews a week. So I did that for 2 years, and I got paid. I got paid your basic freelancer rate to do it, but I had to have myself like a 2-month buffer on the books that I was reviewing, because 2 books a week, that's insane. And plus, it was for a city newspaper, so I couldn't just read the genre that I love. It's easy to review the books for Tim because I'm reviewing in the genre that I love. So when I was with a paper, I had to do all the genres, So I'm doing like country, western, paranormal romances, and the chick. Although there's some good. One thing I did learn reviewing for the paper is that good writing is just good writing. I mean, I enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed a lot more chick lit than I thought I would. There's actually some really, really good ones out there, where the writing was just so engaged. Because chick lit's kind of funny and that's why I don't know if you guys. I've seen Brian Keene joking about this on his blog every now and then. I think that the paranormal romance or like the chick lit, like chick horror lit, I think could have a very good following because there's something very engaging about, because most chick lit novels are first person, and it's got a very engaging, witty voice to it. So but it's easier actually reviewing for Tim because it's a quarterly publication, so my deadlines are like really, really, really gentle, and I can read stuff that I like. So that's easy to rip through that stuff. So.
We always have to be careful with stuff like that because this podcast lasts forever. And when people spin the headline, you're a newspaper guy, when you spin the one headline off this interview, you don't want to have it be, Kevin Lucia says chicklet, not a plate of poo.
Hey, man, if it's written well, it's written well. That's one thing.
Cool. Well, let's go round table real quick. We don't have a whole lot more time left with the WerePig tonight, but I want to go round table. Kevin mentioned his top choices for what he's read this year. Let's finish it out a little bit. Andrew?
Yes?
Toss me a couple titles that you liked. We're heading up to Context, and it's going to be nothing but books, and obviously, Choate Road is all about promotions, and we love celebrating, all of horror fiction and stuff. Kevin gave some great titles. Toss me 2 or 3. Help the readers out when they're listening to podcasts. Where do they go? What should they read?
I absolutely love going back to Nate Kenyon. I love Nate Kenyon's Prime. I thought it was great.
Too. Yeah.
That was very innovative. It was awesome, beyond awesome.
And you want to know a little? Let me throw out a Nate Kenyon horror.
Yeah, www.natekenyonhorror.com.
Yep. Guess who's going to be kicking off October for us?
Who's that?
booked a guy named Nate Kenyon on the show.
Nice.
Ah! There's my fangirl scream.
That's fangirl.
Oh.
Yes, Nate Kenyon will be on in the beginning of October, so.
That's awesome. He's a great guy.
Yeah, you biatches will have to call back in and just be all excited. So
you know, I'll be there.
Yeah, well, you'll be
Nate
there
Kenyon.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh, at Context too.
Yeah.
Looking
Nate
forward to
Kenyon he's not going to be at Context, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I will be.
Yeah, because you'd just be exasperated. You'd just be standing in the hallway, jumping up and down like a.
I would. I'm a very big fan of his. He's very. To be honest with you, a lot of people don't. I'm finding that a lot of people don't know who he is yet.
He's a fabulous. The Reach was. I mean, I've liked all of his novels, but The Reach was really, really good. He's a very.
Oh yeah, The Reach was awesome.
Yeah.
They'll be hearing from him soon enough. Soon enough, they will. So, Zombie Zach, do you have one or two you can toss in the pile?
Hog.
Hog, yes, by our very first beautiful person ever, Stephen Shrewsbury. And if there was ever anyone that wrapped up, like if we gave out a beautiful person award every week, it would be in the shape of Stephen Shrewsbury. So, but that was a fun book. That was a fun ass book. So, or were you just like barking at me? You know that's a book,
no,
right?
actually, I was throwing that out. I knew the book, and that's why I was throwing it out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Now I started thinking about it. I thought you were just, maybe like slamming me or something. Hog!
No, I would never do that. That would be mean.
So that's a fun one. It is. Miss Jazzy, do you have one or two you can toss out that you dig?
Yeah, recently I read Louise Boomer's The Black Act. That was a really good book for fantasy.
I've heard of
did a
such
great
a person.
job. Yes, and also Fran Friel's Mama's Boy, one of my particular favorites.
Yes, as a collection, we've had Fran on the show. Fran, as a collection of stories, man, that she's got troubles. She has some problems, and she put them on paper. But that will definitely snap your spine. That's a scary ass book. So very cool. All right, folks. Well, we're heading down the path here. Let's just go all the way around the circle again. There's a lot of love tonight. There's a lot of whoring. I told you it was going to be a night of whores. Andrew, slap me a site. Where can people find you?
www.andrewwolter, that's WOLTER.com.
When's this Urban Phantoms thing start? Has it already started?
Urban Phantoms has already begun, posting a new chapter every 2 weeks onto the website, and have Much of Madness, More of Sin, my collection, coming out in the first week in September. So.
Okay. Nate Kenyon loving whore.
Or
So awesome. Zombie Zach?
Yes, sir. www.myspace.com, zombie_Zach so far, and I will have eventually a real website soon.
And they can always find you on the Choate Road Forum, which you were always cool enough to run for us, the Choate Road Forum at choateroad.com. And you're on like 50 other forums, right? I mean, you run around with Dr. Puss and all those crazy guys, right?
All part of my plan to take over the world.
No, I think it's working. And the poetry book that you're in again, that's out currently?
Vicious Verses and Reanimated Rhymes with from Coscom Entertainment.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Nate, you're doing some panels at Context?
Nate?
No, you mean Kevin?
Kate, Nevin, Kevin. Kate.
Wait, who's the Nate loving whore now?
Yeah, I'll be on 3 panels at Context. Yep. So that'll be cool.
Are they all on Saturday?
I actually have a Sunday morning one that I'll be on.
Sunday. Oh, dude, you got dicked.
Nah, I'm an early to bed type of guy. Plus, I got to drive out there and back anyway, so I need to have a clear head Sunday anyway. So
That's true. I will also actually be doing some panels.
Nice.
They don't know any better. yeah, I'm supposed to sneak into a couple panels, and of course we're doing the red carpet WerePig thing live from Contacts. That'll be fun too.
That will be fun.
Are you going to be taking any of the classes out there?
Yeah,
you know,
Gary Brownback's emotional realism in characters. I'll be in there.
Oh, you got in there, and that sold out?
Yeah, I registered like months ago. Like I was like I made the decision to go to all these cons like way back in like January, February. I just kind of like knocked them all down in reserve spots. So yeah, so. Cool.
And yeah, he sold out pretty quickly, and I think Jackie Gamer, who we have, Gamer, always sounds like it's Gamer, trust me. But Jackie Gamer, she has a class that she's got that's sold out.
Yeah, the novel proposal one. Yeah.
Yep.
I was looking at doing that because I'm working on a novel proposal right now, but I was like,
Cool. And I think actually Lawrence C. Conley, who is a damn good writer and knows how to strut the strut, I think he has a bunch of classes on Friday there might be some openings for.
Right.
So that's something you might want to check out too, friends and fans. So where can people find you? Let's give one more little toss out here, Mr. Lucia.
www.kevinlucia.net.
All right. So, folks, thank you once again for hanging with the Funky WerePig. I think it was Jesse that was doing some kind of James Brown impersonation there. And that's always our time to turn out when you hear Jesse go, wow!
I don't remember doing that.
You'll hear it in playback. You'll hear it. I caught it. It was wow. So.
Oh crap! I said that out loud.
See, that's what I love about Jesse. Jesse, I'm going to get her a big T-shirt that says, "Are we still in the air?" So, but thank you guys once again for showing up and hanging out late with us. Kevin, dude, I just love watching you climb up the ladder, and I'm going to look forward to hanging out with you at Context and at Horrified.
Yeah, that'd be a good time.
When I get to stand behind you when you're talking to Count Gore Vidal. So, continued success. Crew, staff, and Andrew, excellent job as usual. So, we'll see you guys next week when we've got our Context whoring roundtable. And, God, I can't even think of all the damn names that will be showing up for that. So, until then, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Heroic peoples, heroic. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Have fun, boys and girls.